Commander Kyle Harrison stood at the window of his ship, looking out at the stars. He had been in space for 15 years, but he had never seen anything like what appeared before him now. The darkness of space began to ripple and twist, like water disturbed by stones. Then they came. Ships emerged from the void. Not one or two, but hundreds. Each vessel was massive, 5 times larger than any human ship. They moved in perfect formation, blocking out the stars behind them. Their hulls gleamed with a dark metallic shine, and lights pulsed along their sides like the heartbeat of some great beast. Kyle's communication officer, Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez, turned to him with wide eyes. Her hands shook slightly as she pressed buttons on her console. "Sir, we are receiving a transmission. They are broadcasting on all channels." "Put it through," Kyle said. His voice remained steady, though his heart raced in his chest. The main screen flickered to life. A face appeared that was not human. The creature had 4 eyes arranged in a square pattern on its face. Its skin was dark blue and covered in ridges. When it spoke, the words came through a translation system that made its voice sound hollow and cold. "People of Earth, I am High Commander Zarthok of the Volcran Empire. Your world has been selected for integration into our domain. We have conquered 400 worlds across this galaxy. You will become part of our empire, or you will be destroyed. You have 48 hours to surrender. There will be no negotiation. There will be no mercy if you resist. This is your only warning." The screen went dark. Kyle looked around his bridge. Every person at their station stared back at him, waiting for orders. He activated his communication link to Earth's government. "This is Commander Harrison of the Defiant. I need to speak with President Matthews immediately." Within minutes, he was connected to the Emergency Council. President Lisa Matthews sat at the head of a long table. Around her were the leaders of Earth's military and government. Her face was calm, but Kyle could see the tension in her shoulders. "Commander Harrison," she said, "tell us what you saw." Kyle described the fleet, the ships, and the message from Zarthok. As he spoke, Admiral Katie Sullivan pulled up data on her screen. She had been Earth's top military strategist for 10 years. Her mind worked quickly, calculating numbers and possibilities. 300 capital ships, Katie said. Each one could destroy one of our cities from orbit. If they attacked together, Earth's defenses would last maybe 6 hours. "Then we surrender," said one of the council members, an older man named Greg Foster. He served as Earth's ambassador to the United Nations. "We cannot fight what we cannot defeat." "No," Lisa said firmly. "We do not surrender. Not yet. Not ever." "Madam President," Greg said carefully, "I understand the desire to fight, but we must think of our people. Billions of lives hang in the balance." Lisa stood up from her chair. She walked to the window of the council room, looking down at the city below. Lights twinkled in the darkness, people going about their lives, unaware that their world had just been threatened. "Get me a direct line to the Volcran fleet," she said. "Madam President," Katie began, but Lisa held up her hand. "Do it. Now." The communication was established. Once again, the face of Zarthok appeared on the screen. His 4 eyes fixed on Lisa with what might have been amusement. "You wish to surrender already?" Zarthok asked. "How practical of you." "No," Lisa said. Her voice was clear and strong. "I am here to give you a warning. Leave our system now. Turn your ships around and never return. If you attack Earth, it will be the last mistake your empire ever makes." For a moment, there was silence. Then Zarthok began to laugh. The sound was harsh and grating. Behind him, other Volcran officers joined in the laughter. "You warn us?" Zarthok said between laughs. "You are primitives. You have barely left your own planet. Your ships are toys compared to ours. Your weapons are ancient, and you dare to threaten the Volcran Empire? This is not a threat," Lisa said calmly. "It is a warning. You have 48 hours to leave, the same time you gave us. After that, whatever happens is your choice." Zarthok's laughter stopped. His eyes narrowed. You will regret this insolence. When your cities burn and your people beg for mercy, remember that you had a chance to surrender. Your 48 hours begin now. We will enjoy watching you prepare for a battle you cannot win. The screen went dark again. The council room was silent. Then Greg spoke quietly. Madam President, what have you done? They will show no mercy now. Lisa turned to face the council. They were never going to show mercy. Empires like theirs do not conquer through kindness. But we will not go quietly into the dark. Katie, begin defense preparations. I want every ship we have in position, every weapon system online, every soldier ready. Katie nodded. Yes, Madam President. And should I activate Protocol 7? Lisa paused. Protocol 7 was something most of the council did not know about. It was a secret kept by only the highest levels of government. Yes. Activate it. All of it. As the council dispersed to their duties, Kyle remained on the bridge of his ship. Around Earth, other vessels moved into defensive positions. They looked small and fragile compared to the Vulcan fleet waiting in the outer system. Amy approached Kyle. Sir, do we really have a chance? Kyle looked at the young officer. She was 25 years old, fresh from the academy. She deserved an honest answer. I do not know, he said, but I know this. Humanity has survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and disasters. We have climbed from caves to the stars. If the Vulcan think we will simply give up everything we have built, everything we are, they are wrong. We were given a warning. We gave one back. Now we see who meant theirs. The hours ticked by. Across Earth, people were told about the threat. Some panicked. Some prayed. Some prepared to fight. In military bases around the world, soldiers checked their weapons and said goodbye to their families. In laboratories, scientists activated systems that had been built in secret for decades. Dr. Brandon Cole stood in one such laboratory, deep beneath the surface of Colorado. He looked at the machines around him. Technology that should not exist yet. Technology that Earth had not developed alone. Are we ready? Asked his assistant. Brandon nodded. We are ready. The Vulcan think they know what we are. They think they know what we can do. They are wrong. They were warned. They did not listen. That was their first mistake. Invading us will be their last. Far above, in the darkness of space, the Vulcan fleet waited. Zarthok sat on his command throne, confident and unconcerned. He had conquered 400 worlds. Earth would be easy. The countdown continued, 48 hours until the invasion began. 48 hours until the Vulcan learned what it meant to threaten humanity. The countdown reached 0. High Commander Zarthok stood on the bridge of his flagship, the destroyer of worlds. He raised one clawed hand and brought it down sharply. Begin the attack. Show these primitives the price of defiance. The Vulcan fleet moved forward like a great wave. Their ships glowed with power as weapon systems charged. Energy built up in massive cannons that could turn cities to ash. The fleet split into 3 groups, each one heading toward a different continent on Earth. Kyle Harrison watched them come. His ship, the Defiant, led Earth's orbital defense fleet. 20 human vessels formed a line between the invaders and their home. They looked like toys compared to the Vulcan war machine. All ships, this is Harrison. Hold formation. Wait for my command. Kyle's hands gripped the arms of his chair. Every second felt like an hour. The Vulcan fired first. Beams of red energy lanced through space. They struck the shields of human ships, and the impacts lit up the darkness like lightning. Alarms blared across every bridge. Shields at 70%, Amy reported. Her voice was tight with fear but steady. Return fire. Kyle ordered. Human missiles and energy weapons launched. They streaked toward the advancing Vulcan ships. Most of the attacks splashed harmlessly against the alien shields. The Vulcan continued forward, seemingly unstoppable. On the surface of Earth, Captain Tyler Chen sat in the cockpit of his fighter. Around him, 50 other pilots prepared for launch. The carrier bay doors opened, revealing the battle raging above. Tiger Squadron, this is Chen. Launch on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark. The fighters shot out of the carrier like bullets. They accelerated toward the Vulcan formation. Small and fast. The alien ships barely noticed them at first. Tyler locked onto a Vulcan cruiser and fired. His weapons hit the shield. And for a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then he saw it. A flicker. A tiny disruption in the shield's surface. All fighters, concentrate fire on grid coordinates I am sending you. Hit them in the same spot, rapid succession. 20 fighters focused their weapons on a single point of the cruiser's shield. The concentrated fire punched through, and one missile got past the defenses. It struck the hull, tearing a hole in the armor. The Vulcan ship shuddered but kept coming. Zarthok watched the small victory with disdain. One fighter got lucky. Continue the attack. Burn their cities. But Tyler had seen what he needed to see. The Vulcan shields were not perfect. They could be broken with the right tactics. He sent the data to every human ship in the system. On Earth's surface, Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez coordinated the ground defenses. She had left the Defiant to help protect New York City. Around her, massive defense cannons pointed skyward. Soldiers manned weapons platforms. Citizens huddled in underground shelters. The Vulcan ships descended through the atmosphere. 10 massive cruisers aimed for the city. Their weapon bays opened, ready to rain destruction. Fire everything, Amy commanded. The defense cannons roared. Missiles launched from hidden silos. The sky filled with Earth's fury. The attack struck the descending ships, and several of them slowed. One cruiser lost altitude control and crashed into the ocean, sending up a massive plume of water. The Vulcan were surprised. They had expected token resistance. Not this coordinated, fierce defense. But they had numbers and power. They pressed the attack. In space, Katie Sullivan coordinated the overall defense from a command station on the moon. Holographic displays showed her every ship, every battle, every casualty. The numbers were not good. Earth was losing ships faster than they could be replaced. Madam President, she said over a secure channel to Lisa Matthews. We cannot hold them much longer with conventional tactics. Casualties are mounting. We need to activate the next phase. Lisa sat in an underground bunker, watching the same displays. Every loss was a ship full of people. Every destroyed defense position meant soldiers who would never go home. But she knew Katie was right. How long can we hold with what we have? Lisa asked. Maybe 6 more hours. Then they will break through completely. Good. Make it 8 hours. We need more time to gather data on their systems. Katie understood. This was not just a defense. This was a test. Humanity needed to learn everything about Vulcan. Technology, tactics, and weaknesses before revealing their true capabilities. 8 hours, Katie confirmed. We will make it happen. The battle raged on. Tyler Chen led his squadron through a storm of enemy fire. Half his pilots were gone, but the survivors fought with desperate courage. They learned quickly. The Vulcan shields had weak points at the junctions between segments. Hit those points hard enough, and the entire shield section could collapse. Kyle Harrison's Defiant took heavy damage. Fires burned in 3 sections of the ship. The hull was breached in 2 places. But the ship still fought. Kyle stood on his damaged bridge, blood running from a cut above his eye, and kept giving orders. Target their command ships. If we can disrupt their coordination, it will buy us time. Sir, Amy said from the ground. Commander Steve Walsh is requesting fire support. The Vulcan are concentrating on New York. He says he can hold, but he needs help. Tell him help is coming, Kyle said. He diverted 3 ships to support the city's defense. Commander Steve Walsh stood on top of a skyscraper, watching the battle unfold around him. He led a special unit of soldiers equipped with anti-ship weapons. The Vulcan cruisers hovered over the city, their weapons charging for a devastating bombardment. Wait for it, Steve said to his team. Wait until they are fully committed. The Vulcan fired their main guns. Steve's team launched their weapons at the same moment. The human missiles carried special warheads designed by Dr. Brandon Cole. They struck the Vulcan cruisers just as their weapons fired, disrupting the energy flow. 3 alien ships exploded in massive fireballs that lit up the New York skyline. The other Vulcan ships pulled back, suddenly cautious. They had lost 17 cruisers to Earth's defense. That should not have been possible. Zarthok slammed his fist on his command console. What is happening? These primitives should have been crushed in the first hour. Why are we losing ships? His tactical officer reviewed the data. High Commander. Their weapons are more effective than our intelligence suggested. Their tactics are sophisticated. And their soldiers fight with unusual determination. Determination means nothing against superior firepower, Zarthok growled. Send in the reserve fleet. Overwhelm them with numbers. 100 more Vulcan ships moved forward. The human defenders saw them coming and knew they could not stop them all. But they kept fighting anyway. In his underground laboratory, Dr. Brandon Cole monitored the battle through sensor feeds. He recorded every Vulcan weapon signature, every shield frequency, every tactical pattern. The data flowed into computers that analyzed it with inhuman speed. Are we getting what we need? His assistant asked. Yes, Brandon said. Another few hours and we will have complete tactical profiles on their entire fleet. Then we can move to Phase 2. 2-1. How many people are dying to buy us these few hours? The assistant asked quietly. Brandon's jaw tightened. Too many. But if we reveal everything now, without this data, we might lose anyway. Those people are not dying for nothing. They are buying us victory. The 8-hour mark approached. Earth's conventional forces were exhausted. Ships limped back to dock with critical damage. Defense positions ran low on ammunition. Casualties mounted into the thousands, but Earth still stood. Every city remained intact. Every orbital platform still fought. The Vulcan had expected to be landing occupation forces by now. Instead, they were still struggling to break through the defenses. Katie Sullivan reviewed the final data. Everything they needed was now collected. She opened a secure channel to President Matthews. Madam President, we have what we came for. The price was high, but we are ready for Phase 2. Lisa looked at the casualty reports. 3,000 soldiers dead, 12 ships destroyed, 20 cities damaged. But Earth survived. And now the Vulcan were about to learn the truth. Activate Protocol 7, Lisa ordered. All of it. No more holding back. Show them what happens when you ignore a warning. Across the system, hidden systems came online. Ships that had been hiding in Earth's shadow moved into position. Technology that should not exist hummed with power. Dr. Cole's laboratory sent out activation codes to weapons platforms that had been waiting for this moment. High Commander Zarthok prepared to order a final, overwhelming assault. He would crush these humans once and for all. But as his fleet moved forward, his sensors detected something unexpected. New signatures were appearing across the system. Ships he had not seen before. Energy readings that should not be possible. What is that? He demanded. Before his officer could answer, Kyle Harrison's voice came across all communication channels. High Commander Zarthok, this is your second warning. You were told this would be your last mistake. Now you will learn why. The Vulcan fleet halted in confusion. High Commander Zarthok stared at his tactical display as dozens of new contacts appeared across the system. Human ships that had seemed damaged and retreating suddenly changed course. Their power signatures doubled, then tripled. Energy readings showed capabilities that should have been impossible for a species at Earth's technological level. Impossible, Zarthok whispered. Their ships were barely holding together. This must be a trick. His sensor officer's voice shook. High Commander, I am detecting shield frequencies that match sanctuary technology. Their weapons are using Keltar energy matrices. This is not a trick. Zarthok's four eyes widened. The Sanctuary Alliance was a ghost story, a myth that defeated Vulcan enemies told themselves. The Vulcan Empire had crushed those species 200 years ago. They could not still exist. Kyle Harrison stood on the repaired bridge of the Defiant. The damage that had covered his ship moments ago had been a carefully maintained illusion. Now the vessel's true power showed. Its hull gleamed with an energy field that made it look almost alive. Weapon systems that had been hidden came online with a hum of power. All ships, drop the pretense, show them what we really are. Across the human fleet, the transformation was startling. Ships that had looked like primitive vessels revealed themselves as something far more advanced. Armor plating reconfigured, weapons deployed from hidden bays, shields that were failing suddenly strengthened to levels that exceeded Vulcan technology. On Earth's surface, Captain Tyler Chen's fighter squadron regrouped. His damaged fighter now showed its true form. The hull extended, additional weapons appeared, and the engine output increased by 500%. Around him, his squadron underwent the same transformation. "Well," Tyler said with a grin, "I guess we are done pretending. Tiger Squadron, let us show them what Earth's fighters can really do." The human fighters accelerated to speeds the Vulcan had never seen from such small craft. They moved through the enemy formation like sharks through fish. Their weapons, no longer limited by the need to appear primitive, tore through Vulcan shields as if they were paper. Zarthok watched 3 of his cruisers explode in rapid succession. "Fall back. All ships fall back to defensive formation. We need to regroup." But Katie Sullivan had anticipated that response. From the moon base, she coordinated a maneuver that cut off the Vulcan retreat. Human ships, now moving with the speed and precision of a much more advanced force, boxed in the enemy fleet. The hunters had become the hunted. In the underground bunker, President Lisa Matthews stood before the council. The holographic display now showed the true state of the battle. Earth's forces were not desperate defenders. They were predators who had been waiting for the right moment to strike. "Madam President," Greg Foster said quietly, "how long have we had this technology?" Lisa turned to face him. 200 years, Greg. 200 years since we made first contact with species fleeing from the Vulcan Empire. They came to Earth. Refugees seeking shelter. We gave them sanctuary. In return, they gave us knowledge. Technology. A warning about what was coming, and time to prepare. Dr. Brandon Cole entered the room. His laboratory had been the heart of integrating alien and human technology. Years of work were paying off now. The Vulcan conquered by finding isolated species and destroying them before they could unite, Brandon explained. The Sanctuary Alliance learned that lesson. They found Earth while we were still new to space travel. They saw our potential. They decided to make us their shield. Quote, "We were bait," Katie Sullivan added over the communication link. The Vulcan would eventually find Earth. The Sanctuary helped us prepare. Every year they delayed finding us was another year we grew stronger. When they finally came, we were ready. The battle in space shifted from defense to offense. Commander Steve Walsh, who had coordinated New York's ground defense, now led assault teams boarding disabled Vulcan ships. His soldiers moved through alien corridors with practiced efficiency, securing systems and capturing crew members. "This one is secure," Steve reported. "Uploading their tactical database now. We are getting a complete map of Vulcan deployment across the galaxy." The information was invaluable. The Vulcan Empire had ships scattered across 400 worlds, but their main strength was here, trying to conquer Earth. If they failed here, they would be vulnerable everywhere else. Tyler Chen's squadron encountered a group of Vulcan heavy fighters. The aliens were skilled pilots, veterans of hundreds of battles, but they had never faced humans who were not actually at a disadvantage. The dogfight was brief and brutal. Within minutes, 20 Vulcan fighters were debris, and Tyler's squadron had not lost a single pilot. "Sir, I am getting an odd reading," his wingman reported. "There are more ships approaching, but they are not Vulcan. They are broadcasting sanctuary identification codes." Tyler felt a chill run down his spine. He knew this was coming, but seeing it was different. "All units, Stand by for new arrivals. These are friendlies. The space near Jupiter rippled and tore. Not like the Vulcan arrival, but with a gentle shimmer that suggested more advanced technology. Ships emerged. Hundreds of them. They were beautiful, elegant vessels that made even the improved human ships look crude. These were the Sanctuary Alliance. The Keltar brought ships that moved like flowing water. The Mirathi flew vessels covered in glowing symbols. The Theron commanded massive carriers that dwarfed anything else in the system. Together, they represented 700 warships that the Vulcan thought they had destroyed centuries ago. Zarthok's confidence finally broke. His voice cracked as he gave orders to his fleet. Retreat. All ships retreat. Send a message to the home fleet. We need reinforcements. We need everything. But Katie Sullivan had planned for this too. Activate the jump inhibitors. Activate the jump inhibitors. Hidden devices around the system came online. They created a field that prevented faster-than-light travel. The Vulcan fleet could not jump away. They were trapped. Kyle Harrison opened a channel to Zarthok. Hi, Commander. Do you remember what President Matthews told you? That invading Earth would be your last mistake? This is what she meant. You came here expecting an easy conquest. Instead, you found a trap that has been 200 years in the making. On the Sanctuary flagship, an alien commander named Keltor observed the battle. He was Keltar, a species the Vulcan had nearly wiped out. His people had survived by running, by hiding, by waiting for the right moment to strike back. That moment had arrived. Contact the human president, Keltor said to his communication officer. It is time we speak directly. In the bunker, Lisa Matthews received the incoming call. The screen showed Keltor, a being with smooth gray skin and large eyes that held ancient sadness and new hope. President Matthews, Keltor said, 200 years ago, my people came to your world as refugees. You could have turned us away. Instead, you offered us sanctuary. You listened to our warnings. You prepared for this day. On behalf of the Sanctuary Alliance, I thank you. Together, we will end the Vulcan threat once and for all. Lisa nodded. Commander Keltor, your people gave us the tools we needed to survive. You showed us we were not alone in the universe. The gratitude goes both ways. Now, let us finish what the Vulcans started when they came to our home. The combined human and sanctuary fleet moved on the Vulcan with overwhelming force. What had been an invasion turned into a rout. Vulcan ships tried to fight, but they were outmatched and outnumbered. Their shields collapsed under sustained fire. Their weapons could not penetrate the advanced defenses of their enemies. Commander Danny Pierce led a contingent of human soldiers in coordinating with sanctuary ground forces. Species that had been enemies of the Vulcan now worked alongside humans to secure captured ships and protect Earth from any attempted orbital bombardment. You know, Danny said to a Marathi soldier fighting beside him, my grandfather used to wonder if we were alone in the universe. I wish he could see this. Humans and aliens fighting side by side to protect our home. The Marathi warrior's translator rendered his response. Your grandfather's generation dreamed of the stars. Your generation has claimed them. The Vulcan believed humans were weak because you were young. They forgot that the young can be the most dangerous when they are protecting their home. High Commander Zarthok sat on his command throne, watching his fleet die around him. 200 ships had been destroyed or captured. The rest were surrounded, shields failing, weapons exhausted. His empire had ruled the galaxy for 4 centuries through fear and superior force. But fear meant nothing to those who refused to be afraid, and force meant nothing when the enemy had been preparing for this exact battle for generations. Kyle Harrison's voice came through one final time. Hi, Commander Zarthok. You have one choice remaining. Surrender now, and your crews will be treated with dignity. Continue fighting, and your fleet will be destroyed to the last ship. Choose wisely. You will not get another warning. Zarthok looked at his officers. They stared back at him, waiting for orders that would never come. The High Commander who had conquered 400 worlds lowered his head in defeat. Signal the fleet. We surrender. The Vulcan fleet powered down their weapons. One by one, the massive warships that had come to conquer Earth instead became prisoners. Human and sanctuary forces boarded the vessels, securing them and escorting the alien crews to holding areas. The invasion was over. But the war had just begun. President Lisa Matthews stood in the command center, watching as the last Vulcan ship surrendered. Around her, the council gathered. The immediate threat was contained, but now harder questions needed answers. "What do we do with them?" Greg Foster asked. He looked tired. The past days had aged him. "We have thousands of Vulcan prisoners. We have their ships. We have their high commander. What happens now?" Katie Sullivan pulled up a star map. It showed the galaxy in detail, with markers for every world the Vulcan controlled. There were hundreds of them. The Vulcan Empire does not end with this fleet. They have ships throughout the galaxy, occupation forces on conquered worlds, military bases on dozens of systems. When they realize what happened here, they will regroup and return. Commander Keltor appeared on the communication screen. Behind him stood representatives of other sanctuary species. "President Matthews, we must act quickly." The Vulcan Empire's strength was its reputation for being unstoppable. That reputation died here today. Every world they have conquered will hear about this defeat. Some will try to rebel. The Vulcan will respond with mass destruction to maintain control. "We must liberate those worlds before more innocents die." Lisa nodded slowly. "You are asking us to go from defending our home to attacking across the galaxy. That is a big step. We are asking you to help us finish what started here," Keltor replied. "The Vulcan came to Earth because they saw humanity as weak. They were wrong. Now, we ask humanity to stand with us, not just to protect Earth, but to protect all the species suffering under Vulcan rule." Dr. Brandon Cole stepped forward. He had been quiet during most of the discussion, but now he spoke with conviction. "We have an advantage we will not have for long. The Vulcan Empire thinks they lost because of the Sanctuary Alliance. They do not yet understand how much of this victory was human technology, human tactics, and human determination. If we move now, we can strike before they adapt." Tyler Chen, still in his fighter suit and bearing the marks of battle, entered the command center. He had been called back from the front lines for this meeting. "Sir, my pilots are ready. We did not fight this hard just to wait for the Vulcan to regroup and try again. If we go on the offensive, you have our support." Lisa looked around the room. Every person here represented a different part of Earth's response to the invasion. Military leaders, scientists, diplomats, and soldiers. They had all played their part in defending humanity. Now she was asking them to do more. "Before we decide," Lisa said, "I want High Commander Zarthok brought here. I want to look him in the eye when we tell him what happens next." Within an hour, Zarthok was escorted into the command center. The former conqueror was bound and surrounded by guards. His 4 eyes swept the room, taking in the mix of humans and sanctuary species. He said nothing. Waiting, Lisa walked up to stand directly in front of him. "High Commander, your empire has controlled the galaxy for 400 years. You have conquered countless worlds and killed billions. Today, that ends, but I want you to understand something. We are not like you. We will not respond to conquest with conquest. We will not answer brutality with brutality." Zarthok's expression was hard to read, but something like confusion crossed his features. "Then what will you do? Let me and my people go? We will simply rebuild and return." "No," Katie Sullivan said. "You misunderstand. We will dismantle your empire. We will free every world you control. We will hunt down every Vulcan fleet that refuses to surrender. But we will do it our way, with justice, not revenge." Commander Steve Walsh stood nearby. He had lost soldiers during the battle, friends he had known for years. The anger in his voice was clear. "Some of us think you deserve worse. You came here ready to burn our cities and enslave our people. Many want to see you and your entire species pay for centuries of crimes. And what does your president think? Zarthok asked, looking at Lisa. Lisa was quiet for a moment. I think that becoming like you would mean you truly defeated us. Even if we won the battle, we will put you on trial for your crimes. You and every officer who gave orders for atrocities. The galaxy will see justice done, but we will not punish innocent Vulcan citizens for the actions of their leaders. Your people will have a choice. Join the new galactic order and live in peace, or continue fighting and be defeated. You are weak, Zarthok said, though his voice lacked conviction. This mercy will destroy you. No, Keltor said from the screen. Mercy is not weakness. The Vulcan Empire ruled through fear. Fear breeds hatred. Hatred breeds resistance. Your empire was always going to fall eventually. President Matthews offers something your people never gave to others. A chance at redemption. Over the following weeks, Earth and the Sanctuary Alliance launched coordinated strikes across the galaxy. Human ships, now revealed in their full capability, led assault fleets to liberated occupied worlds. The strategy was always the same. Broadcast the truth about Earth's victory. Offer Vulcan forces a chance to surrender. And only use force when necessary. Captain Jake Morrison led one such mission to the planet Thera, a world the Vulcan had conquered 50 years earlier. The occupation force there consisted of 3 Vulcan cruisers and 5,000 soldiers. Jake's ship, the Liberator, approached the planet broadcasting a message. Vulcan forces on Thera, this is Captain Jake Morrison of Earth. Your empire's main fleet has been defeated. High Commander Zarthok is in custody. You have been lied to about your strength and our weakness. We offer you one chance to surrender peacefully. Power down your weapons, and you will be treated with dignity. Refuse, and we will do what we must. The Vulcan commander on Thera was named Vornak. He had been a soldier for 30 years, fighting in campaigns across the galaxy. The message from the humans confused and angered him. This is a trick. The main fleet cannot have been defeated. We will not surrender to primitives. Jake's tactical officer, Lieutenant Michelle Parker, monitored the Vulcan response. Sir, they are powering weapons. Looks like they plan to fight. One more try, Jake said. He opened the channel again. Commander Vornak, I am sending you footage of the battle at Earth. Watch it. See what happened to your fleet. Then make an informed choice. The data transmission included recordings of the battle, the reveal of humanity's true capabilities, and images of Zarthok's surrender. Vornak watched in growing horror. Everything he had believed about Vulcan superiority crumbled before his eyes. My soldiers, Vornak said slowly. They will be processed and given a choice, Jake replied. Those who committed war crimes will face trial. The rest will be offered repatriation, or the chance to join the new galactic order. We do not execute prisoners, and we do not torture. You have my word as an officer of Earth's fleet. Vornak looked around his bridge. His crew stared back at him, waiting for orders. He thought about the last 30 years of fighting, conquering, and ruling through fear. He thought about the humans who offered mercy when they could have offered death. We surrender, Vornak said. Power down all weapons. Contact the surface forces and tell them to stand down. Similar scenes played out across dozens of worlds. Some Vulcan forces fought and were defeated. Others surrendered when they saw the truth. Within 3 months, the Vulcan Empire's control over the galaxy collapsed. Liberated species rose up against their occupiers. The Sanctuary Alliance, with Earth's help, established new governments on freed worlds. But the hardest moment came when Katie Sullivan brought Lisa a report about a Vulcan military base that refused all communication. Intelligence suggested the base commander planned to destroy the entire planet rather than surrender. It was a world called Mira, home to 4 billion people. We need to make a decision, Katie said quietly. If we do not act, those people will die. But if we attack with enough force to guarantee victory quickly, there will be heavy casualties on both sides. Lisa studied the tactical data. Commander Danny Pierce was already en route with a fleet. Tyler Chen's squadron was providing fighter support. Everything was in position. One order, and they would attack. Tell Danny to offer surrender one more time, Lisa said. Make it clear what we are offering. Not just survival, but a real future. If they still refuse, do what is necessary to protect those 4 billion people, but minimize casualties where possible. Danny Pierce received the order. He broadcast one final message to the Vulcan base. This is Commander Danny Pierce. You know by now that your empire has fallen. You know that we have defeated fleet after fleet. You have a choice. Power down and surrender, or force us to remove you by force. Either way, the people of Mira will be free today. The only question is, how many die before that happens? The Vulcan base commander, an old warrior named Greg Tor, listened to the message. He had served the Empire for 50 years. He had believed in its strength, its righteousness, its destiny. All of that was revealed to be a lie. His empire was broken. His leaders were defeated. But he still had one last choice. Greg Tor powered down the base weapons. Signal surrender. Tell the humans they have won. Tell them we will face their justice. When the report came back to Earth, Lisa allowed herself to feel relief. The bloodiest outcome had been avoided, not through superior firepower, but through persistence in offering mercy even to those who had shown none. Greg Foster approached Lisa in the quiet command center. Madam President, we have liberated nearly 80% of formerly Vulcan-controlled space. The remaining forces are scattered and disorganized. The war is effectively over, but the work is just beginning, Lisa said. We have to help rebuild what the Vulcan destroyed. We have to create a lasting peace. We have to make sure this never happens again. Can it be done? Greg asked. Lisa looked at the star map showing the liberated worlds. The Vulcan thought, strength came from conquest. We will show the galaxy that true strength comes from cooperation, from justice, and from the willingness to defend not just your own home, but the homes of others. Yes, Greg. It can be done. Because we warned them, and we meant every word. 6 months after the invasion, the galaxy looked different. The Vulcan Empire was gone. In its place, a new structure began to form. The Galactic Council convened for the first time on a neutral space station built by cooperation between 12 species. President Lisa Matthews stood at the podium, looking out at representatives from worlds across the galaxy. For 400 years, this galaxy knew only one form of order. The Vulcan ruled through fear and force. Today, we begin something new. A council where all species have a voice, where disputes are settled through discussion, not destruction, where the strong protect the weak instead of exploiting them. The chamber erupted in approval. Species that had lived under oppression for generations now had hope. But Lisa knew hope was not enough. The real work was just beginning. High Commander Zarthok stood trial before the new galactic court. Representatives from hundreds of worlds came to testify about Vulcan atrocities. The evidence was overwhelming. Entire species had been wiped out. Planets had been stripped of resources. Billions had died in the centuries of conquest. Commander Kyle Harrison attended the trial. He had been asked to testify about the invasion of Earth. He stood before the court and described the battle, the losses, and the choices humanity made. High Commander Zarthok came to Earth expecting an easy victory, Kyle said. He did not come to negotiate. He did not come seeking peace. He came to conquer, or destroy. But when he was defeated, we did not do to him what he planned to do to us. That is the difference between justice and revenge. Zarthok listened to the testimony. His 4 eyes showed no emotion. But when given the chance to speak, his voice was different than before. Quieter. Reflective. I do not ask for mercy, Zarthok said. I led the invasion of Earth. I gave orders that would have killed millions. Before that, I conquered 12 worlds for the Empire. I believed we were bringing order to the galaxy. I was wrong. The humans showed me what true strength looks like. It is not the ability to destroy, but the wisdom to choose not to. I accept whatever judgment this court delivers. The court sentenced Zarthok to life imprisonment. He would spend his remaining years on a prison planet, along with other Valkyran leaders who had ordered war crimes. But common Valkyran soldiers, those who had simply followed orders, were given different options. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez helped run one of the integration centers where former Valkyran military members could learn about the new galactic order. She worked with a young Valkyran soldier named Tekvar, who had been part of the occupation force on Thera. I was taught that other species were inferior, Tekvar said during one session. That the Valkyran were meant to rule. Now, I learn it was all propaganda. Everything I believed was a lie. Not everything, Amy said gently. You believed you were serving something greater than yourself. That instinct is good. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. You just need to redirect it toward building instead of destroying. Tekvar and thousands like him chose to join the new Galactic Defense Force. They would spend years working to repair the damage their empire had caused. It was not easy, and not everyone forgave them. But it was a start. Dr. Brandon Cole led the effort to rebuild devastated worlds. His teams worked alongside sanctuary scientists and freed populations. On the planet Keltar Prime, which had been the Keltar homeworld before the Valkyran invasion 2 centuries ago, reconstruction was nearly complete. Commander Keltor stood with Brandon on a hillside overlooking the restored capital city. Buildings that had been ruins now gleamed in the sunlight. Parks replaced weapon emplacements. Schools stood where military bases once dominated the landscape. My grandfather was born here, Keltor said. He fled when the Valkyran came. He died in exile, never seeing his home again. I wish he could see this. His world. Reborn. He would be proud, Brandon said. Not just of the restoration, but of what his people did. You could have given up. Instead, you found Earth and helped us prepare. You turned tragedy into triumph. Captain Tyler Chen received a new assignment. He was promoted to commander and given leadership of the 1st Combined Squadron, a unit made up of pilots from Earth and 6 other species. They trained together, learning each other's tactics and building trust. On his first day addressing the squadron, Tyler looked at the diverse group before him: humans, Keltar, Mirathi, Theron, and even 2 former Valkyran pilots who had proved their commitment to the new order. We come from different worlds, Tyler said. We speak different languages. Some of us were enemies 6 months ago. But today, we are one squadron, one team. The galaxy is still dangerous. There are pirates, warlords, and those who reject the new order. Our job is to protect those who cannot protect themselves. We do not conquer, we defend. Remember that, and we will do great things together. Admiral Katie Sullivan took on perhaps the most important role. She became the head of the Galactic Defense Initiative, coordinating military forces across the Council worlds. Her office was on the new station, and from there she could monitor threats across the galaxy. One day, a message came from a remote system. A species called the Draenor had been raiding nearby trade routes. They had not been part of the Valkyran Empire and saw the current chaos as an opportunity for expansion. Katie assembled a response fleet. It included ships from Earth, the Sanctuary Alliance, and 3 recently liberated worlds. The combined force arrived at the Draenor home system and broadcast a message: Draenor leadership. This is Admiral Katie Sullivan of the Galactic Defense Initiative. Your attacks on civilian vessels end now. We offer you 2 choices: join the Galactic Council, follow its laws, and live in peace, or continue your raids and face consequences. We do not want war, but we will not allow innocent people to suffer. Choose wisely. The Draenor had expected to face individual, weak responses from newly freed worlds. Instead, they faced a united fleet with technology and tactics that exceeded their own. They chose peace. Commander Steve Walsh worked on Earth, training the next generation of defenders. The Academy expanded to accept students from other worlds. Young humans trained alongside young Keltar, Mirathi, and Theron. They learned not just tactics and technology, but the values that had won Earth its place in the galaxy. Why did Earth risk everything for species you had never met? A Theron student asked during one class. Steve thought about the question. Because we remembered what it was like to be alone and afraid. When the sanctuary came to us 200 years ago, they were refugees. They needed help, we gave it, not knowing if we would ever benefit from it. They gave us technology and knowledge in return. But more importantly, they gave us purpose, a reason to reach beyond ourselves. When the Vulcan came, we were not just defending Earth. We were defending the principle that the strong should protect the weak, not prey on them. Captain Jake Morrison led humanitarian missions to former Vulcan territories. His ship, the Liberator, carried medical supplies, food, and construction materials to worlds struggling to rebuild. On one such mission to the planet Mira, the same world where Commander Grektor had surrendered, Jake met with local leaders. "You saved our world without destroying it," the Miran representative said. "The Vulcan would have burned the planet rather than lose control. You offered them a way out that preserved our lives. For that, we are grateful." "We did what was right," Jake said. "Now we need your help. The galaxy needs every species working together. Will you join the Council?" Mira became the 47th world to join the Galactic Council. Over the following year, that number grew to over 300. Former Vulcan territories, freed from oppression, chose cooperation over isolation. 1 year after the invasion, a ceremony was held on Earth. Representatives from across the galaxy gathered to dedicate a memorial. It honored all those who had died during the war, both human and alien. The memorial was a massive structure of crystal and metal, inscribed with names from every species involved in the conflict. President Lisa Matthews stood before the crowd, now officially serving as Earth's representative on the Galactic Council. "This memorial reminds us of the cost of war," Lisa said. 3,000 humans died defending Earth. Tens of thousands more across the galaxy died in the liberation campaigns. Even Vulcan soldiers, misled by their leaders, died believing they were serving a just cause. We remember them all. We honor their sacrifice by building something better than what came before. Commander Kyle Harrison, now Admiral Harrison and commander of the First Fleet, stood at attention. Beside him were Katie Sullivan, Danny Pierce, Tyler Chen, and dozens of officers who had led the defense and liberation efforts. Ambassador Greg Foster, representing the diplomatic corps, added his own words. "The Vulcan came to Earth with an ultimatum. We responded with a warning. They did not listen. But when we defeated them, we did not gloat. We did not seek revenge. We offered justice and mercy. That decision set the tone for everything that followed. It showed the galaxy what humanity truly values." In a prison cell on a distant world, High Commander Zarthok watched a recording of the ceremony. He spent his days in that cell, thinking about the choices he had made, the worlds he had conquered, the orders he had given, the people who had died because of him. A guard approached his cell. It was Tekvar, the young Vulcan soldier who had chosen redemption. He brought Zarthok his daily meal and a datapad with news from across the galaxy. "High Commander," Tekvar said. The title was habit, though Zarthok commanded nothing now. "I thought you would want to see this. The humans and the Sanctuary Alliance have liberated another 50 worlds this month. The last Vulcan holdouts have surrendered." Zarthok took the datapad. He read about the peaceful transitions, the trials, and the reconstruction efforts. "You chose to work with them," he said to Tekvar. "Do you regret it?" "No, High Commander. I regret what we did under the Empire. But working with humans, with the Sanctuary, helping rebuild what we destroyed, that gives my life meaning. They gave me a chance I did not deserve." "They gave all of us chances we did not deserve," Zarthok said quietly. "That is why they won. Not because their weapons were better, but because they understood something we did not. That true strength is knowing when not to use your power." Back on Earth, Dr. Brandon Cole stood in his laboratory with his assistant. They were working on new projects now, not weapons, but tools to help terraform damaged worlds and restore destroyed ecosystems. "Do you think it will last?" his assistant asked. "This new galactic order?" Brandon considered the question. The Vulcan Empire lasted 400 years through fear. How long can peace last when built on cooperation and justice? "I do not know. But I know this. Humanity was given a choice when we first met the sanctuary: help refugees or turn them away. We chose compassion. That choice led to everything that followed. As long as the species in the galaxy keep making choices based on what is right, rather than what is easy, the peace will hold." Admiral Kyle Harrison stood on the bridge of his new flagship, the Unity. The vessel was 3 times the size of the Defiant and served as the mobile command center for the First Fleet. It was crewed by humans and aliens working side by side. He looked at the star map showing the galaxy. 200 years ago, Earth had been alone. 100 years ago, they had been preparing in secret. 1 year ago, they had been invaded. Now, Earth stood as one of the leading members of a galactic community dedicated to peace and mutual protection. "Admiral," Amy Rodriguez said. She served as his communication officer now. "We are receiving a distress call from the Outer Rim. A colony is under attack by raiders." "Set course," Kyle ordered. "Maximum speed. Let them know help is coming." "Oh." As the Unity jumped to faster than light speed, Kyle reflected on how far they had come. The Vulcan had invaded Earth, expecting to add one more world to their empire. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant. Not just humanity, but the entire Sanctuary Alliance that had been waiting for the right moment to strike back. The warning had been simple: leave Earth alone, or face the consequences. The Vulcan chose to ignore that warning. It was their last mistake. But it was also the catalyst that freed the galaxy from centuries of tyranny. Now, as the Unity raced to protect a colony in danger, Kyle understood the truth. Earth had not just defended itself. It had become the shield for those who could not protect themselves, the strong defending the weak, the capable protecting the vulnerable. That was humanity's gift to the galaxy. The warning had been given. The war had been fought. The peace had been won. And the galaxy would remember that when humanity gave its word, whether that word was a promise of mercy or a promise of consequences, humanity always kept it.